Hello everyone! In this video we're going to be taking inspiration from Wicked here in the University of Britechester, and we're going to redo the dorms in a style that is similar to the one in the movie. Not exactly the same because I still wanted them to kind of blend into this environment, and I actually want to do the whole university in a style that looks like it's made for spellcasters. I think that could be really cool, so that way we can have things that look a lot like the movie and they will serve a purpose. And even if you weren't playing with themes that were, say, Glinda or the characters from the movie, but I think that it's still going to be very cool to have those references. I'm not going to be giving any spoilers in this video, so I'm going to be mentioning some details, but nothing that is too important. This isn't going to ruin it for you. But I wanted to use a lot of these rounded walls in here because the university in the film has a bunch of these rounded towers, and I was very nervous about it because when I worked with round walls, I have found them to be very, very annoying. But this time they worked great. I don't know if it was because I wasn't adding a lot of wall art or such, but maybe they have fixed them. I don't know, because I really didn't have any of the issues that I had the last time. Of course, some of the windows do kind of only work in certain spaces, so I had to rearrange them a bunch of times, and I cut all of that out because it was just so repetitive and long and annoying. But I was very happy to be using these windows from Realm of Magic. They have these beautiful gold details, and I had never used this swatch because I always go for the swatches with the stained glass. But these ones were the ones that felt the most authentic to the film for me, so I was very excited to see those. And and I forgot to mention that I based the size of these shapes on Elphaba's and Glinda's dorm room, because I really wanted to recreate that as close to the set as I could. And actually there's a website where you can really take a look at the sets. It's shizuniversity.com, and I'm going to have that linked in the description, and it works kind of like Google Maps. So you can look around and you can click on some of the furniture so that you can take a closer look at them, and sometimes they have text. So it's very cool. If you enjoy that kind of thing, I do recommend it. They're going to be adding some other sets, so I think the library, the classroom is there already, and Madame Morrible's study, and the dining hall, I think. So I'm very excited to be using some of those for inspiration for the other buildings. I'm definitely going to be changing the University of Britechester Commons. It's like a library, but it's very small, and I feel like that building is always too small for what I want it to be. The one in Foxbury is a lot larger, so I don't know, it just feels weird that it's so small in Britechester. So I think that I probably will have the library there, as well as the classroom and the cafeteria, I think. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to keep planning this as the other sets are going to be made available. But I was saying that I really wanted this front portion to be Elphaba's room because it has that door, and because it also meant that it was going to be the narrowest area in there, so to me it made sense to have that be the base, and then everything just looks like it kind of fans out from there. And I don't show it yet because I really wanted to get started in the interior of the build, but I did add a bunch of crystals, and I think they look very cool. So it looks like the building is emerging from in between those crystals, and that also helped with making these balconies make more sense, because to me it looked like I was just adding random fences because the building that is underneath this is just a rectangle. So I thought that made the most sense in here, and I felt a bit limited with the balconies because they couldn't be larger than a certain size, or round walls kind of, they just don't like certain things. So I really wanted to build this because I was very excited about the movie coming out. I love the movie. I actually went to see the musical 10 years ago when I was a teenager, and it was my first time going to a theater and seeing musical theater, and I was blown away by by the costumes and the stage, the way that the music sounds in the theater. I was really, really impressed. Then I read the book, so I have really liked Wicked for 10 years, and it's just, I don't know, I'm really happy about this, and I can't stop singing the songs to my family's dismay. So yeah, but anyway, this is going to be the floor plan, and I don't show the floor plan on the top, but it's very, very similar. So when we go upstairs, you're going to see that. I have this beautiful elevator from Lost Rock because it felt the most antique and just right for its space. And then there's this kind of common living room area with a games table, and there's also like a big hallway and some stairs. But starting in this dorm room, I'm going to be using these two different wallpapers. Some of the other rooms have the same wallpaper as the hallway, but some of them have different ones. So in here I'm going to be having these floral ones, and both of them look very much like the one in the movie, but not entirely. I think that the one in the room looks more like the illustrations because they are very thin flowers and stems, but it had more color, so I was happy to be including both of those. So one is in the bathroom. The actual dorm in the set has a wash basin or like a sink, so I decided to have a bathroom instead. It just made more sense to me, especially because it's so large. I do have some common bathrooms in this build, but still I wanted to make sure that your Sims were always going to have a bathroom available to them. And I added a bunch of these boxes. I am going to make sure to playtest this because I'm not entirely sure that it works. I think it should, but yeah, there's a bunch of boxes for Glinda's hats and shoes and clothes and everything. I am using a bunch of these like gift boxes from the holiday pack and seasons, and I also added a small dresser in front of her bed, and I actually added a bunch of shoes into that space, but I kind of forgot to do that while I was filming. And speaking of which, I didn't film everything. I only show, well, I say only, but I think I showed like 5 rooms. I think I showed all the rooms that had a different layout or size, and the other one, since this is mirrored and it has 2 floors, many of them have pretty similar layouts, but I did take screenshots of all of that. But yeah, here in this dresser, next to the fireplace, I have a gramophone. That one is from high school years because it's a bit more like Art Deco, or because some of the style of the movie is Art Deco and some is kind of Art Nouveau. And I also wanted to have that new music box. I just wanted Glinda to have so many things, and you see that there's this shelf where you can have a bunch of, it's like a clothing rack, and there's also this desk, but it's almost really a vanity. It should work as a desk because I did make sure to leave some of it free, but there's a lot of clutter on it, and I did include a second desk. It's a very tiny desk, and it's just in Elphaba's corner of the room. I just wanted to look like Glinda was exploding all over this room. It's just like, there's makeup everywhere, there's boxes everywhere. Even in Elphaba's corner, there's this clothing rack that probably should be on her side of the room. And I just thought it was kind of fun to have this piece so true to the movie. There's more boxes in the movie, but I did want this to be functional still. And this is going to be Elphaba's corner. There's some books in here, there's a trunk. I wanted to make sure that it looked like she was very focused on school, and I was very happy to add this painting that has 2, they look like potion bottles, so one of them is pink and the other one is green. I think that may be a reference, because those are the colors of these witches, and because there's a reference to Wicked in Realm of Magic, because one of the sages is called Elphaba, and she's the sage of mischief magic, I think. And I just thought that it might be a reference, and I thought that it was cool that it might be. But yeah, this is going to be the bathroom. It's just stuff from Realm of Magic mainly, and I rearranged this a little bit, but it's basically all of this stuff. I am using this bath mat. It's actually just like a playmat from the Storybook Nursery kit, and I am adding these sconces and these pendant lights everywhere. These sconces are from Life and Death, and the pendant lights are from Florence. And they give such a nice light. And they are also, I just think that they really fit this vibe. Also, the sconces look pretty similar to the ones in the movie set, so that made me very happy. Oh, and I really wanted there to be a display case next to their bedroom here in the hallway, because in the movie there is one right in front of the door. So this one isn't exactly like that, but it was close enough to be a reference, and I added this little green hand from Paranormal. And now we're going to be adding those, the games table and the couches and stuff. I really wanted this to be an area that could help with your Sims fun needs, and there's a kitchen upstairs, so there's more space for socializing, and there's a big table, so there's even more like desk space. Even if all of these bedrooms have desks, I made sure to have one even in the smallest ones, so all of them have a dresser, a desk. A lot of them have some sort of luggage, and sometimes they have like somewhere to sit and books. Almost all of those have a stack of books that is actually functional. Although somehow I forgot about the trunks from werewolves that act as a dresser. But this is going to be the bathroom on the downstairs. I am using the same stuff from Realm of Magic, and I really love this bathroom. I am using this pink swatch, and it just made me so happy. This looks super like antique to me. I think it was my grandmother who had a pink toilet in her house, so this just makes me think of like an older sort of bathroom. It has the wallpaper from Life and Death, the same sconces, and the tile is from the Cozy Bistro kit, which has some incredible swatches. It has even a green swatch that matches the one from Life and Death, and that makes me very happy. I also made sure to include a trash chute so that it looked like it could be for laundry, although there is one next to the elevator as well as a mailbox. And this is going to be the upstairs. I cut out a lot of the process of the layout in here, and the bathroom that I have in this area where it would have been an elevator shaft, but you can only have one elevator in these dorms, so it made sense to me to make it into a bathroom, and I divided it in two. So there's the area with the sink and like some storage, and there's another tiny room with the shower and the toilet. So yeah, there's a bunch of toilets in this build, and I wanted to have stuff like chess, the podium for debate, and I also really wanted to have these posters because at the start of the movie there's some really impressive posters. They are a bit disturbing. I don't want to spoil anything. And also in the website of the movie you can see a bunch of other posters for like university societies or events, and I just thought that it was cool to have a bunch of these posters. They have a similar kind of vintage graphic design vibe, so that made me very happy to see. And I also wanted to have things like a case from vampires and a table with a bunch of like occult items. I have a bunch from Life and Death, so there's that, I forget what it's called, like the mushroom person, and I have it in pink so that it looks kind of like Glinda. And I also added these displays from Cozy Bistro with like books and other items that look kind of academic. And then I remembered that I really wanted to include these frogs from Crystal Creations, so there's a few in this build, and I added a few games in here. I have the one from Lost Ark, and these ones that are just for decoration. And next to it I have the tarot deck, and I pulled a couple of cards from it. So there's the Pregnant Princess Cordelia, there's the High Spellcaster, and there's a Cowplant. I thought that those were kind of right for the theme of Wicked for different reasons, and but yeah, I thought that it was cool to have those. And then here in the kitchen I really wanted to use green. At first I thought I was going to use the new ones from Life and Death, but I decided to go with the ones from Vampires instead because they were a bit more traditional, and the fridge is from Realm of Magic, and it also looks like vintage and, you know, magical and stuff. So I also have these scales from there, and this book from vampires. It has garlic, so I thought it might look kind of like a cookbook. And because teams are probably not going to be sleeping too well during university, I have some coffee. And then in this other side, I have another, like, some more shelving from Life and Death with, normal kitchen clutter and the Moonflower from Werewolves. I had forgotten if I have mentioned this, but I made Elphaba and Glinda in CAS, and I have them uploaded into the gallery under my ID, which is Veranium. And I will also have this build in there once I playtest it, because it will probably take me some time to do that. And I'm also going to be recreating one of the scenes from the movie. I really want to have a music video for one of these songs. I'm very excited about that. I think that it's going to take me a very long time, because I have a lot of planning to do, and I want to film in this build, but also in different ones. So yeah, it will take some time, but I'm very excited for it, and I hope to have that this year. I would like to also make some updates to Glimmerburg, inspired also by Wicked and the Wizard of Oz, but that might happen until after part 2 comes out, so that I have more of an opportunity to rewatch the film and plan things and have more material, because I think that in part 2 there's probably going to be several different sets and other items that I could use as inspiration. I also rewatched The Wizard of Oz recently, and I really enjoyed it, although I do know that the shooting of that film was complete chaos and very questionable. It really is horrifying. It's really disturbing. I'm not going to say much about that because I still want to talk about the build. If you want to look that up, there's some fascinating stories. It really is disturbing. So yeah, glad that movies aren't made that way anymore. And this is going to be a smaller bedroom. I wanted one of these themes to be an artist, so I include some canvases and sketchbooks on their side, and I also have these smaller dressers, and they share one desk. I wanted there to be... It's kind of a reference to the book as well. I'm not really going to say much about that because it's... I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting to have one of these smaller bedrooms with the same items, but, a lot smaller. And then next to it I have this one that is kind of fancy. It's not as fancy as Glinda's because that one is just huge and she's taken over most of it. But I really like to have some luggage in here. There's this desk from Werewolves that I think is super cute. It's super pretty. It has some books that aren't functional, but it just looks amazing. And it's one of the less destroyed items in that pack, although it has some distressed swatches. And I also have this bookcase next to it, on top of the dresser, so it looks like there's... I don't know, it just looks so fancy. And then I have like a mirror and some coats and a hat. And then I'm just adding some items from Crystal Creations so that there's more on the walls. And I added some more to the other bedroom. I was thinking that one of those themes was into science, probably, so they have some stuff for crystals, like the jewelry tools, and there's like a traveler's case. But yeah, that's that bedroom. And then downstairs we have these 2 bedrooms that share a balcony, and one of them actually has an exit into the common balcony. So I thought that was also very fancy, and both of these are going to be artists. They have pretty much the same stuff, but in different swatches. So one of the sides is green and the other one is blue. I kind of wish that this wasn't green and so close to Elphaba's side of her room, but it's still pretty different. It still has some items that the other room doesn't have, and I have stuff like this chest that comes in green and in blue, which I thought was very exciting. I also have this tiny chair, and the fence was kind of clipping, so I hid that behind these canvases, and I also added the canvas rack into the other room, and some more canvases in there, and this private balcony has an easel. The common one also has an easel, But I thought it was cool if they could share this one, and I just added some more clutter from the artist studio kit. I also wanted to have one of the shows that has some more paint on that, and I rearranged this so that I could kind of hide the clipping on that other side. And I also wanted to have these tiny furniture piece from Life and Death so that there could be a bookcase in that area. There's bookcases all over this build, so they aren't really necessary, but to me this kind of looked, I don't know, kind of realistic, and they're probably always borrowing books from the library, and they probably have their own like textbooks and stuff. So yeah. Oh, and I also added some tarot cards in here, which I thought was really cute, and this it looks like a little stool. So yeah, I really liked the art side of this build. There's a couple distinguished degrees in Britechester that have to do with art. There's, I think, fine art and art history. So a couple of these teams are artists, but you can study any degree in both universities. It's just that some of them have the prestigious version of some degrees. I didn't show all of the other bedrooms because, as I mentioned, they were pretty similar, but they have different color schemes, and they are a bit more generic. They are kind of bare bones because they didn't include anything that would be really related to any degree. So you could move in there if you wanted to, and they have them in the screenshots, so I'm very happy with how they came out. I'm very excited to show them to you, but it was just super repetitive and I was having to copy and paste many of the furniture, so sped up it was kind of annoying to look at. So I didn't include that, and then I just made this kind of like area for brooms because of spellcasters. University came with bikes, so I wanted there to be some sort of means of transportation in here. I don't know if Sims would actually just like take off from the balcony and go to school on their brooms. But yeah, I just liked imagining that. And then I added a bunch of crystals all around this build. I think that it really helps with having this feel like it's part of the same building, even if it's a fantasy element and it is pretty intense, but I liked it. And I also sized up some of the regular crystals. So there's an emerald that was also kind of a nod to Emerald City and the Wizard of Oz and Wicked. But yeah, most of them are actually from Realm of Magic. Some of them are free and some of them are like 14 millions. I don't know why the purple ones have their own category and they actually cost money, and instead of finding them in the book, but I really liked how they layer and they made sure that they didn't clip. So yeah, pretty happy with that. As I said, I'm going to make sure to playtest this build. I hope everything is functional, and if not, I'm going to have to rearrange some things. But other than that, I'm very happy with how it came out. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you stay tuned for the other Wicked inspired builds in the channel and videos and stuff. I made a short with the song Popular, which I thought was really fun. I'm going to have that linked down, and all of the other builds that are going to be related to Wicked. I'll link them down as I upload them, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye everyone.